everyone, Chris Stout here. Today we are going to, in this episode, install a helmet lock. Oftentimes I just don't want to be walking around carrying my helmet with me. It's kind of cumbersome and certainly gets in the way and bonks things around. So it's just sort of nice to be able to have something where I can securely have my helmet stay with the bike. This is the piece. It comes in both right hand and left hand sides. I think it's kind of universal if you wanted to, but I ordered the right hand side, and it will eventually, hopefully in this episode, go right here. So there are two Torx bolts here, and it takes a Torx 25. So I'm going to undo those and be back with you after that. Okay, and we're back. So we needed a T25 to take out these two original bolts. They were there and there. So now it's just open, and this piece of plastic protection is loose on that side. And you're going to need a hex wrench that doesn't come with the kit to be able to put in the bolts that came with it. So they are hex. And they also give you spacers, which I'll use because there's a space between with that plastic and the of that covering and where the lock will go. So off camera, I'm going to put some thread locker, some Loctite thread locker on the tips of these. I'm going to put in the spacers, and it also came with locking washers. And then I will be tightening that up and be back with you. Hopefully that will go well. Okay, so here's where I'm at, just kind of just getting close to done or halfway started, depending on how you want to look at it. But this side is not yet attached. I started here just because I have more room to work. It's a pretty tight space. It's probably better to be using an Allen wrench, although it's a lot of turns, to not try and get the little socket in there. So I did bolt, locking piece, locking washer and spacer, and a little bit of Loctite on the tip of the bolt. Before I tighten this too much further, I want to get this one started here up in this space, and then we should be able to just tighten it up and hopefully have the project finished. Okay, well, here's something interesting. So I had it installed with the spacers, washers, and bolts that they provided, and it just didn't look good. I thought they gave longer bolts because you would need longer bolts to accommodate this plate of the lock holder itself. But I had it all installed, and I just did not like the looks of it. So I thought, well, what if I take the original bolts that were there and try it with it. It gets it snug, but I still have appropriate clearance here. I don't know if I can get down here, but there's a nice width around this lock bracket as well. It works, obviously that's where the bolts came from, so they work just fine. There it is under there. It's a little tricky getting to it, but overall, it's very, very solid and stable. Comes with a set of 2 keys. And I just really also like, I'm nerdy about this, but I like how it just really pops open, really flies open like that. I think that's hopefully a good sign, or a sign of good engineering. But you just lock it back in like that, and it's very, very tight. So very happy with this. Just didn't wind up using all the parts that they gave, and used the original parts that were there, which generally my philosophy is if you can do that, that's probably a good idea, unless it's something very esoteric or it actually changes something. But none of the stuff I'm doing on this bike is like that. So I like it. It looks good. It's a nice, it doesn't draw a whole lot of attention to itself. It doesn't really distract or anything. So real happy with this. And if you're interested, I encourage you to try it as well. Thanks for watching. Ride safe.